we known each other? Where did we meet?
That was about 3.5 years ago, I'd say.
Absolutely, yeah. And under what circumstances? Like how did we get into this crazy world of D&D together?
Well, yeah, I was at the time I was giving an attempt at university, and it was my first time living in the city. And I had never been to a game store before for any form of like gaming or session. I've only ever been playing casually with friends up until that point.
Absolutely. I remember you mentioning that you were kind of not necessarily a noob, but your experience was limited. Like you were kind of chumming around with some friends and stuff like that. But then you came to Dragon's Den, where on Wednesday evenings they have D&D night. And I've been a long-standing DM there for close to 3.5, 4 years now. And Rhys pulled up a chair and sat at the table. Yeah. And how did that go?
Um, I mean, I found it to be a really fun experience, enough for me to continue it for as long as I have been.
Absolutely. The thing about a game at a gaming store, they're only open for 2 hours. Well, for the gaming session. So these long sessions of like 8 hours just isn't plausible at a gaming store unless they're open for that kind of thing. But Dragon's Den on Wednesday nights is pretty much from 7 till 9, and you got to be out. So we were doing like 2 hour one shots for the longest time, and like how what was the turnover with people?
Um, I'd say for the first year and a half more so, it's been you would see three or four certain people one session, and then two or three of those people would be swapped entirely the next.
Yeah.
Some days you'd have seven. A couple days you only had three.
Yeah, I remember having like 11 or 13 people at the table one time, because it was snowing or something like that, typical Saskatchewan weather, and nobody else showed up as far as DMs were concerned. And so it was like literally like 5 or 6 tables pulled up amongst themselves, and it was just Eric and like 12 people. And for 2 hours, really, there's not a lot one can do, other than try to get some dice rolled. But without a doubt, Rhys, for Dragon's Den Wednesday night gaming, you have been my longest standing player, hands down. Louis, has been. I think he probably came 6 months after you did, kind of thing like that, give or take, maybe.
I think it was, yeah, 6-5, somewhere close. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and Louis is still going strong in the game as well. Hopefully, we can wrap this up in the next couple of months with our Dragon's Den campaign, so we can concentrate on the Arcane Table. But yeah, it's one of the things I've always loved about Rhys is your loyalty and your commitment to the game. On time, ready to play, knowing his stuff, and I really enjoyed that. That's what I look for players for something like that and for something like this. So, sorry for interrupting, but you're saying D&D, had some friends. How did you get started?
Yeah, I was in high school, and my sister actually told me about the games club at school.
Cool. Yeah.
And well, I've never been to it before, so I thought I'd give it a try. She recommended like trying like the Dungeons and Dragons table. I didn't know much about it, but I was willing to give it a try. She said it might interest me, and well, she was right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And something like that where it's at school. Once again, over lunch hour, I'm assuming.
After school on Fridays.
I got you. Yeah. So like a 2 hour period or a 4 hour period or.
Once again, 2 hours.
Yeah. And 2 hours isn't a lot of time, but if you have the right people and the right group, you can do a lot within 2 hours. Like the group we currently have, the LPI. Even when we're running at 7 people or 6 people, as long as everybody knows what they're doing, they have their turn prepared when it's their turn, and they can be respectfully quiet or respectfully listening. When it's not their turn, you can get a lot accomplished in 2 hours. And like I said, we've been gaming at Dragon's Den for close to 3.5, 4 years now, and it would be nice to have some longer sessions, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So with this, the Arcane Table, what do you want to get out of it? How do you see yourself fitting in?
I, I find that in certain situations I have a lot of I'd say creativity in the way in which I'm willing to uh, view or interpret situations or like
Absolutely.
ideas of solving.
Absolutely, yeah. I think without a doubt, your current character is a Noel Paladin, which is almost a oxymoron to begin with, right?
Yeah.
You know, like how do the two fit? But somehow you make it fit. You know, Lear's story is excellent. You know, it's a story about redemption and a story about finding oneself, and a story about of bringing one's people together. You know, and I think you've done an excellent job of that. You know, even how you know work your character's traits with the other characters at the table. You know, like you know, Lear has kind of become that guiding hand or that stone, you know, that rock that everybody kind of falls upon. You know, when times get tough, and I think you do an excellent job with that.
Oof.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. Um, Rhys has also been a part of the 24-hour game day marathon that we do with the Jim Pattinson Foundation, and you've done it twice. You know,
Yes.
we did it 2 years ago. It was called the Children of Dragmar, which was an original 24-hour one shot that I wrote, and then the next year we ran the Centennial Challenge, or the Centennial Race. My apologies. And once again, you know, we were part of that, and once again, I was talking earlier with Adam and Trevor. There's role playing, and then there's role playing, and you role play your characters excellently. You know, like you give them flavor, you give them character, you give them you know pros and cons. You know, it's not always just about the mechanics of the game. I find that you add to the character in a lot of ways that other players don't, and I really enjoy that about what you bring to the table, Reese.
I try to. It helps me gain a better grasp of how to run them in that sense. Yeah.
Sounds good. So, with what we're planning on doing, you know, for the next year or however long we spend on playing like the Let's Play, uh, what do you think your character would want to do? Like, are you gonna play once again in your mind's eye something that's a little more friendly heavy, or something a little more selfish? Have you put any thought into that?
I'd say a little more selectively friendly. I would say,
Cool.
like not like a hostile or anything. Just there's just certain people in which this character would just devote a lot more of their attention and care towards.
Absolutely, yeah. And with us only starting with 3 players and 1 DM for the long play, you know, I think the 3 players characters will have to rely on each other, and I have no doubts that you know, once again, whatever Reese brings to the table is going to be a good you know role playing experience. Cool. Did you want to add anything else before we're done here?
I years ago I would never imagine having had an opportunity such as this before,
Cool.
and even then I probably wouldn't imagine myself accepting something like this.
Yeah.
But it is something that I'd say largely because of my better understanding of the game over the years and you know your guiding sense through all this, I'd say that I feel I've gained a lot of confidence that I normally I'd say I wouldn't have had before.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's one of the things I really like about the game, especially doing things like with Dragon's Den, where it's literally strangers. You know, like when like 3.5, 4 years ago when you came to the table, Reese, we were strangers. You know, you were just a young guy coming to the table, you know, being DM'd by some old dude. You know, but over time, we become friends. You know, I don't see you as a young adult. I see you as just a good friend, and that's why you're here. You know, I've been saying several times, this is supposed to be a channel about us coming together, the community coming together. Reese, I actually really enjoy crafting with you. You know, like Lear's character, we kind of made his PAX home. You know, so it was like a variety of different terrain and tents and stuff like that. And then in our game at Dragon's Den, we actually used that, you know, to kind of introduce the other characters, you know, to a little more about Reese's backstory. And I'm going to be relying on you in the future to help with the terrain. And I'm really looking forward to that because I think you're talented and you're willing to learn, as am I. And we'll do it together, and hopefully for the channel we can make some kick-ass stuff.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
I know you're going to do great. Awesome. Thank you very much, Rhys. I'm looking forward to gaming with you again.
For sure.
Cool.